Sonic Frontiers is definitely one of the games that I think people had a ton of expectations for. Most Sonic fans were waiting for this game as a make it or break it for the Sonic franchise. Was Sonic back? No. Or was he gone for good? Many people already had their opinions on the game, but you clicked on this video for one reason, because you wanted to see what I thought. So what do I, a little robot trapped in his own solitary confinement, think of the game? Let's talk about it.
My name is Gustavo, but you can call me Gus.
Start of Sonic Frontiers was a rough one. 5 or so months ago, we got our first look at Sonic Frontiers by none other than the #1 world's greatest Sonic haters, IGN.
I think we're at the point where we need to admit that this was never really a great franchise. And that we keep trying to find this thing that was never really actually there.
Sonic was never good.
Yeah, it was a
25-year lie.
Yes.
And what was the consensus? It looks like absolute shit! The gameplay just seemed bland and the world seemed stale. It looked like a project done by an indie studio. I mean, there were indie projects done by Sonic fans that looked better than whatever this is. But, I mean, people were still optimistic because the truth is, whoever the hell was playing the game at the premiere looked like they've never played a video game before. I mean, seriously, what the hell is some of this gameplay?
Bruh.
But then, something changed. Over the next months, we kept getting better and better trailers. We started getting promising leaks, new looks at unique gameplay. Finally, things look promising. For once, not only Sonic fans, but regular gamers were actually excited for a Sonic project. A lot of positivity was given to the Sonic franchise instead of just the usual negative, pessimistic comments. Most of the pessimistic, negative comments are usually just given by Sonic fans. And then, the day came. November 8th. The release date. Everyone, every little boy and girl who ever pre-ordered the game or just rushed in and begged mommy for a credit card to get the game, got it. And we all played it. News articles started being written about it. YouTubers started publishing their opinions. And everyone had their own opinion. What do I think about it?
Holy crap! Donald Trump! Hello, Peter.
I love the way this game feels, the way it's made. Everything about this game seems so similar yet so new. Sonic Frontiers does a great way of balancing the open world and the classic boost levels. Let's start with the open world. The open world brings a nice balance of actually running around and platforming in it. Think about it like if Breath of the Wild, Link could run at like 100 miles per hour. The openness of the world just gives a feeling of freedom that the player can just go wherever they want without being haunted by some sort of abstraction or some sort of invisible wall. It's just really refreshing that we finally have a modern Sonic game where we don't feel confined to one long stretch of land. The open world also has puzzles that are fairly simple, and I feel like anybody of any age can probably do the Sonic puzzles without really having to sit there and think about it. They're not really complex or wild ones like any of the Zelda puzzles. They're pretty simple, you just kinda gotta have common sense. There are a total of 5 islands to explore, each island having around 7 different boost levels. These levels are pretty well spread out, and I don't feel like they're a chore to do, but I'm guessing that's because you get a break in between the boost levels. Most boost stages in this game are short, but pretty sweet. I personally think they're pretty fun to play, even if they're just like 2 minutes long. You're probably gonna beat every stage in like 2 to 3 minutes, and that's really if you're just going slow. You can easily beat every level in under like 2 minutes, or even just under 1 minute, but sometimes the game even requires you to do that in some forms of missions. But still, it's just refreshing to see a Sonic game that isn't just you holding down the A button to boost. You actually get to run around, there's different levels and others have pathways. You're not just going in a straight linear line. And I'm so glad they're finally bringing that back from other games like Sonic Generations. Apart from the boost stages, there's also many small bosses in every island that the player can encounter. By beating these bosses, you can usually get items that help you progress along the story, such as gears that are used to unlock the boost levels. Even Sonic himself is different. He actually has a move set with unlockable moves through his skill tree, instead of just jumping and running. Now Sonic can kick, punch, throw different versions of himself, and even draw on the floor. In general, it's just so refreshing to finally see one of these games that doesn't just repeat the same formula over and over again. You can do different things such as fight bosses and enemies, play the boost stages, or even just run around the open world without actually having to stop what you're doing just because of some mundane quick time event or something. And let's not forget about Top G Big the Cat and his fishing. Now that we've talked about arguably the most important part of the game, which is the gameplay, let's talk about the other half of the game, the story.
The destruction of the spirit of the people of southern Louisiana and Mississippi may end up being the most tragic loss of all.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
This story is absolutely beautiful. I won't talk about it as much because I don't want to spoil it or anything, but it's just much more of a serious and character-based story that just feels genuine. The interactions that these characters have in this story makes you feel like they're old friends having a chat again, instead of other depictions of the Sonic franchise. I'd say it's on the same level as Sonic Adventure 2. These characters seem much more mature and older. For example, the interactions that Sonic and Amy have are just full of dialogue that shows that Sonic and Amy truly care about each other. No toxic one-sided love or Amy being an obsessive creep. Just a genuine friendship that almost makes me root for these two to actually get together. And I'm just so glad that I can say that Knuckles isn't a fucking idiot in this game. Even Sage is written amazingly. She doesn't feel like a half put together villain that Sonic just encountered. The story itself has many great callbacks and references to other games like Sonic 3, Sonic Adventure 2, and even Boom. It's just an amazing story that really makes you feel like this is going to be like the last time you'll ever see these characters, but it's such a compelling goodbye. Even though you know you'll see them again, it just makes you feel like these characters have finally aged and finally grew up from what you knew. And I'm not going to talk about it anymore because I feel like you'd rather want to experience it yourself. So, my thoughts? Frontiers has to be a must-buy for almost everybody. It's a fresh new take on the Sonic franchise and it breathes new life into the series. Like many other games, there's a bit of flaws. Like, yeah, maybe there are a bit too many collectibles, and yeah, it does feel like a Breath of the Wild ripoff, but I mean, it's so refreshing to finally see a game that genuinely cares about these characters, and it feels like it wants to deliver a story that the fans will love. I just would recommend this game greatly to anybody who wants to see these characters in an actual good game again, or just anybody who wants to give a shot to the Sonic franchise again. It's definitely one of, if not the greatest Sonic games made so far, so I'd recommend it to anybody who wants to give it a shot.